Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 117. It's great to be back in the studio following a little nagging cough that I had. Let's do this first things first with the Cleveland Indians. Let's look at the final team leaders as the season is over. Ahmed Rosario led us with a 282 average. That guy on your screen right there, Jose Ramirez, had a 266 average. And he also led us in home runs, RBIs, and stolen bases, 36 bombs, 103 runs batted in, 27 stolen bases. Just for comparison, the most exciting man in baseball, as they say, Shohei Ohtani, only stole 26 bases. And not to mention, with the, the RBIs, I think Jose had more RBIs than Ohtani. Yeah, Ohtani only had 100. Jose had 103, so... And not to mention, Ohtani batted 257 and Jose batted 266. So if Ohtani can be in the MVP race, I think that Jose can also be in the MVP race and conversation as well, in my opinion. And now let's look at the pitching stats. Leading us in strikeouts was T-Mac. He had 136. Cal Quantrill led us in ERA 289. He was just untouchable during the second half of the season. And in wins, Aaron Savali with 12. He also led us in whip with 112. And Emmanuel Clase led us in saves with 24. Now time for the season recap. The Indians didn't do good. 80-82 record. It could have easily been 70-92. We got bailed out of that record of 70-92 with a really terrible division. Cough, Detroit, Kansas City, Minnesota. Even though we struggled to them, for gosh sake. It's the first time since 2012 that the Cleveland Indians have had a losing season. And we were the 16th best team in the league. That's not that good. DeMarlo had to take over for Tito as manager, but hopefully Tito's coming back next year. Our final run differential was -10. And at home, we finished 40-41. On the road, also 40-41. Our records against teams above 500 was horrible. 28-51. Good Lord. 28-51. That makes up 79 of the games. If you multiply that by 162, how we had played a team full of teams over 500 with that pace, we would have been on pace to lose 105 games, which ties the club record set in 1991. As you can tell, the glory days of 2016, 2018, the year of the World Series, the year of the streak, the year of winning the division, third year in a row, those days are long forgotten and long over by now. And we got no hit 3 times. Carlos Rodon, Wade Miley, and Corbin Burns and Josh Hader. Hader and Burns teamed up for the no-hitter. 4 times if you include Tampa's team 7-inning no-hitter. Obviously, not only does it mark the end of an era in which the Indians used to be good, it marks the end of an era not only for Cleveland Indians but for Cleveland baseball. As most, if not all of you are aware, the name Indians is no more, as the name has been dropped following a decades-long controversy surrounding the name and representation of Native Americans, which I'm not going to dig deep into. But you know, the Cleveland Indians are going to be the Cleveland Guardians, like it or not. And as you expect, a very lukewarm response from the fan base. However, I really think that most people are going to still root for the Guardians nonetheless, like myself. Next year, hopefully, will be a better season. There is some promise with that pitching staff. You have Shane Bieber, Aaron Savali, Cal Quantrill, Tristan McKenzie. Maybe Logan Allen matures. Maybe Eli Morgan matures. And maybe Giancarlos Mejia matures. Who knows? But what I do know is that hopefully next year will be a good season. And you know that I, for one, cannot wait to bring all the action right to you with it starting in March when we play the Kansas City Royals. What should be a sellout crowd on opening day. Series recaps. Indians against the Royals. The Indians lost the series 2-1. Salvador Perez hit a home run in Game 2, and Hunter Dozier had a 2-run triple in Game 2. But Bradley Zimmer and Harold Ramirez had 2 RBIs each in Game 3. And then you have the Indians at Rangers series, the last one of the season. We won the series at least, and we won it 2-1. Austin Hedges and Bobby Bradley. Bobby Bradley, first-year player, of course, hit a home run. And so did Austin Hedges in Game 1. And we put up 5 runs in the 4th inning, I believe, in the first game, which was quite impressive to see. Willie Calhoun hit a home run for Texas in Game 2. And meanwhile, this game that you see right here, Aaron Savali, 6 shutout innings, surrendering only 3 hits. And it was a 6-0 dominant win out there at Globe Life Field. That was the first time the Indians were ever at Globe Life Field. For instance, it opened last year, but because of the wacky season it was last year, we never got to see anything we never got to see it because of COVID. But fortunately this year, we are able to see it. And of course, I think it's very fitting that the Cleveland Indians, as Yu Chang blast one into left, which were the final runs of the ball game. A good home run by Yu Chang. Of course, Yu Chang's very good at baseball. But anyways, as I was saying, I think it's fitting that the very last game that the Indians play ever as the Cleveland Indians ends up being a win. A very bittersweet win, a very emotional win, as next year is going to be a little different. Not going to be easy for me to commentate. I'm so used to saying Indians all my life. Indians, Indians, Indians. Now it's going to be Guardians, Guardians, Guardians. And not to mention, the name sounds really similar as the final out of the entire season, the final outs in the 107 years of the Indians, a fly out to Invader Zim out at right. That is what it was. And folks, if you really consider leaving the name over the name, I would not. Because in my opinion, it's still the same thing. It's just a different name. And it's not going to be that much, it's not going to change your life, folks. I mean, what of significance is going to happen if you leave the team over a name? I mean, are you still going to have food on the plate? Is things still going to be fine? Yes, things are still going to be fine. I, for one, think it would be foolish for me to leave the team that I've rooted for my entire life, a team that I first saw when I was a little baby, over a name. Especially through all the memories that I've had. The memories of that crazy pennant run in 2016 when everyone said we weren't going to do it, we weren't going to do it. Boom, sweep Boston, boom, take down Toronto 5 games. I think it'd be ridiculous for me to leave the team after Robbie Perez had 2 home runs in Game 1 of the World Series, which was one of the greatest feelings in the world. And not to mention one of the greatest home runs in Major League Baseball history, Rajai Davis in left field. That was a great moment, I remember. Another great moment, I remember. Jason Giambi's walk-off home run that took us to the playoffs in 2013. I just think it's foolish to leave it, especially with the memories that you have. And you know what? John Madden said it when the NFL was leaving both CBS and ABC. They can take away football from CBS and ABC, but they can't take away the memories. And that's how I feel about the Indians. They could take away the name Indians and replace it with Guardians. I couldn't care about that because they're never going to take away those memories. They're never going to take away the memories of me wearing my backwards Indians cap in 7th grade, the year we reached the pennant, wearing my red shorts, and wearing an Indian shirt every game of the playoffs. And the one game we lose in Game 4 of the ALCS was because I didn't wear my cap or my shorts that day. Yes, and then we'll never get rid of that memories of the streak, the greatest winning streak in the history of baseball. Some of the Cardinals were 5 wins short of doing this year. Of course, they go tonight against Los Angeles. But of course, I remember that winning, and I just remember 8th grade. Those were probably the greatest times to be alive ever as a Cleveland baseball fan. I know my parents are going to say otherwise in the late 90s, but you know what? I wasn't alive for the late 90s. So you know what? Considering those 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, especially 2016 and 17, which were the 2 best years to be alive as an Indians fan, I will take that to my grave. Best time to ever root for the Indians/Guardians will be 2016-2017. But you know what? Good luck to the Guardians. I hope you stay along with it. I hope you agree with me on that. But anyways, now that we talked a lot about the Indians, let's go to NASCAR, the Yellowwood 500, where we had an upset alert, Bubba Wallace won. He won his very first career race. And of course, that means he's won his first race of the entire season. It was called shortly before the end of stage 2 because of rain. Chris Buescher won the first stage. Bubba's not in the playoffs, by the way. And he became the first black driver to ever win in NASCAR since Wendell Scott in 1963. It has been that long. A 118 lap long race because of rain. It was supposed to be on Sunday, but there was rain on Sunday as well, so that pushed it to Monday at 1 or 12 o'clock in Alabama. Competition caution, lap 25. You saw that crash on lap 56, I believe. And then in lap 67, I think Kyle Larson blew a tire. On that, the red flag came out on lap 73 because of rain. And a big crash on lap 98. Wallace, of course, placed spoiler. That is just huge to see. This was the end of the race, folks. You see it, Bubba's leading. And how fitting is it that a man who was born and raised, I believe, in Alabama celebrates his first career win in Alabama at one of the most famous speedways out there. There's William Byron getting involved into a wreck. He catches fire, and that brought out the yellow flag. And the yellow flag turned to the red flag because of the rain. And folks, that is just hard to believe. Bubba Wallace, a man that's not in the playoffs, wins. He's probably upset and thinking to himself, oh man, if only that could have happened during the regular season, because he would have clinched. It would have clinched, but there he is, obviously very happy. Everyone was very happy for him. He was very emotional after the win. History was made at NASCAR, and congrats to him. Of course, McDonald's on their Twitter account changed their name to celebrate Bubba Wallace's first career win. Obviously, a lot of tears of joy and excitement there. We'll see if this is going to play spoiler. We'll see if this is going to play spoiler or not, because I did not really see that coming at all, and I don't know if he would have held on if there was a third stage, but you know what, congrats to him for his first career win. Always great to see that. Not only did Michael McDowell, I believe, collect his first career win at the world-famous Daytona International Speedway, but Bubba Wallace does it at the world-famous Talladega Super Speedway. Tommy's picks, my goodness, we've talked so much about a lot of stuff except high school football. Let's get right into it with some high school action. Starting off with a nationally televised Medina Mentor game on ESPN2 where Drew Howard took the Battling Bees to a victory 35-14. And Highland trounced Revere 55-14. My goodness, that game wasn't even close. It was a blowout from the start and a blowout to the finish. How about you guys, Wadsworth? You guys pulled off a big upset against Stowe. Stowe took a tumbling down in the rankings following a shocking 21-20 loss at Art Wright. And Ordonia upset Hudson 29-28. Avon beat Olmsted Falls 41-29. And Berea Mid-Park took down the Midview Middies 27-10. And how about those Pioneers? They beat North Ridgeville, the Rangers 30-0. And Barberton blanks Copley 33-0. Of course, Barberton obviously showing that they are quite a supreme team. That's going to be exciting to watch them Friday night against Roar, which we'll get to later. Talmadge really took it to Cuyahoga Falls. They are now 5-2 on the campaign, the Blue Devils. A 41-7 win over the Black Tigers. And Willoughby South beat Mayfield 21-15. And North Royalton took down Twinsburg 34-14. And Benedictine beating Brecksville. Brecksville has not been able to catch a good break this year, 37-3. And Chardon shuts down New Philly 21-0. And St. Ed's beat St. Ives 19-14. And Archbishop Hoban took down St. Francis in New York 23-3. Time for some college football. Virginia beat Miami 30-28. Georgia shut out Arkansas 37-0. I don't know how they were able to shut out Arkansas. And Michigan, despite being ranked, was considered an underdog at Camp Randall, and they were still able to beat Wisconsin 38-17. And Texas beat TCU 32-27. And I'm still depressed about that Notre Dame game, which we lost 24-13. It made me very sad. Alabama beat up on the Rebels. I was going to say Run Rebels, but that's Las Vegas, not Ole Miss. The Ole Miss Rebels, 42-21. Ohio State crushes Rutgers 52-13. And Ohio beat Akron. I'm also upset about that, 34-17. And Miami, Ohio beat Central Michigan, the Chippewas, 28-17. Kent State beat Bowling Green 27-20. NC State beat Louisiana Tech 34-27. Oklahoma State beat Baylor 24-14. Clemson, now unranked for the first time since 2014, barely clings on to a win over Boston College 19-13. And Auburn escapes from Tiger Stadium with a 24-19 win. And Hawaii upsets Fresno State 27-24. Now time for some football in the professional league. The Bungles beat Suxonville 24-17, but that wasn't the main story for Suxonville. Urban Meyer getting into trouble off the field, which I'm not going to go into deep description over, but he is so going to be fired because Suxonville cannot win. They have lost 19 in a row, dating back to last year. And the Browns won again, 14-7. We are that good at football. And the Jets actually won. You thought I was going to say Jets suck, but no, they don't, because they actually won. They beat the Titans in overtime, 27-24. I don't believe it. I still don't believe it. And the Chiefs beat the Eagles. That's not surprising, 42-30. Cowboys give the Panthers their first loss of the season, 36-28. And the Giants won. They beat the Saints in overtime, 27-21. The Saints' first home game of the season. Holy cow. And the Bears beat the loser Lions as Jared Goff threw a very weird interception. The Bills took down Texans 40-0. And the Colts beat Free Willy, folks, 27-17. And the Washington football team, led by the heroics of Taylor Heineke, gives the Washington football team a 34-30 win. The Seahawks took down San Fran 28-21. And the Cardinals are the lone undefeated team in football right now with a 37-20 win. The Packers beat the overrated Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now that the Steelers suck and are overrated. And everyone hates the Steelers. That is right. Everyone hates the Steelers. I hate the Steelers. You hate the Steelers. We all hate the Steelers. And the Broncos finally played a good team for once. And they lost, unsurprisingly, 23-7. The Buccaneers barely escaped Gillette Stadium with a 19-17 win over the New England Patriots as they tried a 56-yard field goal in really bad rain, and it was missed. And then the Buccaneers, yeah, they're 3-1 on the campaign now. Chargers going up against the Raiders on Monday night. Justin Herbert led them to a win. And I actually won my fantasy football league for once. How about that? I am finally with a win. I was the only team without a win, and thank the Lord, it has finally changed. High school football went 11-4 with 11 total points, which means that I am 76-32 with 84 points this season. College football 11-4 with 12 points. I'm 52-17 with 59 points. In the NFL, I went 12-4 with 13 points, which means I'm 42-22 with 46 points. I got the upset of the week right, which was the Colts. My lock of the week, Titans, lost to the Jets. Who loses to the Jets? Okay, we did last year. But we were without our wide receivers. I give that a break. And I guess the Rams, of course, lost to the Jets last year. But who loses to the Jets? Good heavens, that's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. hopefully not embarrassing, are my picks. Tommy's picks. High school football, it's our homecoming game against Cuyahoga Falls, and we're going to hang at least 50, maybe 60 on Cuyahoga Falls. Cuyahoga Falls is going to be lucky to put up 3 points, lucky to get in the end zone. They will be very lucky to score. Lock of the week, Highland's winning it. We're going to 7-1, and we're going to head into that game against Aurora with a lot of momentum on our side, but I'm very, very torn about what happens against Aurora. Nordonia plays Stowe Monroe Falls, so trying to rebound from a tough loss last week. I'm thinking that Stowe wins it. And then Archbishop Hoban playing St. B. St. M. I'm picking Hoban to win that. Massillon Washington going up against Canisius. I'm picking Massillon. Barberton against Aurora. I think that's the game of the week. If not, it's Medina Brunswick, but it's either one of those two. Barberton, Aurora. I want Aurora to win it because that gives the Hornets a better opportunity of winning the conference. I'm picking the Green Men to win. I don't care if they're at Rudy Sharkey Stadium or not. I think that the Green Men can still get the job done. They're one of the best teams in D3, one of the best teams in Northeast Ohio. I think they can get the job done and pick up a nice victory over the Barberton Magics, in my humble and honest opinion. Medina playing Brunswick. I'm picking Medina to win it. Solon playing Mentor. Mentor will win it. Mentor has been on quite a skid, 3-4 in the season, but you know what? They are still very good, and they have a pretty rough schedule. Norton's undefeated, and they're playing Springfield. Norton's going to go to 8-0. Berea Mid-Park's going to upset Avon. Upset them at home, 22-10. And then Canfield Cardinals playing East. I'm picking Canfield. And in a big rivalry, Revere play Copley. I'm picking the Revere Minutemen, trying to rebound from an embarrassing loss last week. Austintown Fitch playing Wadsworth. I'm picking Austintown Fitch. Hudson against Melrose. Hudson. Twinsburg against Brecksville. I'm leaning towards Twinsburg. They're home. Elyria hosting Avon Lake, but I think Avon Lake's going to win. Archbishop Moore in Cincinnati going to play host to St. Ignatius on Saturday, I believe. And in my opinion, if it's not Saturday, it's Friday. I know that a lot of big games happen on Saturdays in high school football. But you know what? St. Ignatius to win that one. I don't care if they're in Cincinnati, they'll still get it completed. College football. Arizona State against Stanford. I'm picking the Sun Devils. Red River Showdown. Texas OU. I'm picking Oklahoma. And then you have Ole Miss against Arkansas. Ole Miss to win that, as Arkansas will probably skid down. Florida against Vandy. Florida had a tough loss last week to Kentucky, but there's no way they lose to Vanderbilt. If they lose to Vanderbilt, that would be embarrassing. Bowling Green playing Akron. I wish Akron wins, but I'm thinking Bowling Green. Then the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Auburn, Georgia. I'm picking the Tigers. I think Brian Harsin and Bo Nix have a good shot right there. Auburn, every time they play a big game at Jordan-Hare, there's always something magical or crazy that happens. Toilet paper is going to be flying at Toomer's Corner. Auburn upsets Georgia. BYU playing Boise State. I'm picking BYU to win that. North Carolina against Florida State. North Carolina. UMass against UConn. Two below-average teams. I'm picking UMass. Iowa against Penn State. Big game. Kinnick Stadium. The Wave. The pink locker room. I think all that and the blackout there at Iowa. Iowa's going to win. Goalposts are going to go down. Iowa wins it. Texas Tech against TCU. TCU wins. Virginia Tech against Notre Dame. Please Notre Dame win it. Notre Dame wins. Texas A&M against Alabama. Alabama wins. Kentucky against LSU. Kentucky wins. I'm running really low on time, so I'll kind of machine gun my way through the NFL. Seahawks to beat the Rams. I think the Jets are going to beat the Falcons. Vikings to beat the loser Lions. Washington football team to beat the Saints. I think Patriots are going to take down Houston. Lock of the week is Tampa over Free Willy. The Bungles are going to fall to the Packers. The Broncos are going to beat the Steelers at Heinz Field. Panthers beat the Eagles. The Panthers beat the Eagles. Titans are going to have to hopefully rebound and beat Sucksonville to hand them loss number 20 in a row. Browns are going to beat the Chargers because we're the Browns. Raiders are going to lose to the Bears. Bears, my upset of the week. Cardinals against 49ers. Cardinals are going to be 5-0 following this game. Cowboys against the Giant Losers. I'm picking the Giant Losers because why not? Chiefs against the Bills. I'm picking the Chiefs. Ravens and Colts. Ravens winning. Well, we did it. We got through 5 pages worth of stuff in about 25 minutes. So until then, I'm Tommy Maroon here. So long, everyone.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.